In this video, we're going to look at topic 2, example 2, where we solve consecutive integer problems. So we're told the sum of three consecutive integers is 132, and what are the three integers? All right, so a couple things just based off that statement. We know that there's three integers. Integers is important, and consecutive. Okay, this is our kind of key term here, consecutive, right? That means they're in a row. So you would have like 2, 3, 4, or 35, 36, 37. Could be positive, could be negative because they're integers, but we have to figure out what they are. So we need to come up with some type of variable and way to create an equation that we can show these consecutive integers as an unknown variable in terms of something like x. Since we're only going to create one equation, we only want one variable. So let's just pretend, so we can learn how to set this up. Let's pretend our three numbers were 8, 9, and 10. We're not even going to worry about the 132 right now. We just need to figure out how we would set these up in terms of representing them as variables. Well, let's pretend that 8 is our first integer. We could represent that by the variable x. Well, in terms of x, how would I represent 9 if 8 is x? Well, to get from 8 to 9, I would take that x value and I would have to add 1 to it. So if I knew, let's pretend you don't know this here, if I knew 8 was x, if I wanted to find the next consecutive integer, if I wanted to find 9, I'd have to add 1 to it. And if I wanted to go from 8 to 10, that third integer in this list, that would be the original 8, or x, plus 2. All right, and so on. Let's pretend that you needed a fourth integer, which we knew was 11. That would be x plus 3. And then the following one would be x plus 4. We know that in this hypothetical x being 8, that would give us 12, right? So let's get rid of, well, we only need three integers, so we don't need these. And let's pretend, or let's say we don't know that it's 8, 9, 10. All right, that's actually not going to be the answer anyway, so let's get rid of those. So my first integer is x. My second integer is x plus 1. And my third integer is x plus 2. Those are three consecutive numbers. They're three consecutive integers, and we know that the sum of those is going to be equal to 132. So sum would be addition. So what I need to do is I need to add these three integers, this x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. So we have x plus 1 plus x plus 2, and we know that that is going to total to be 132. The parentheses no longer matter, so we can drop those. It's all addition, so we can get rid of them. And now from here, we can combine like terms. So I have x, and x. That would be 3x when I add those up. And we have 1 and 2. So I have 3x plus 3 is equal to 132. Now I have to undo operations, right? I want to solve for x now that I have this kind of cleaned up. So to do that, we would subtract 3 from each side. I'd be left with 3x on the left and 129 on the right. We would then divide by 3 to undo that multiplication, and x would be equal to 129 divided by 3, which is 43. So my first integer was represented by x, so this is going to be 43. My second integer, which would be the next one because they're consecutive, x plus 1 would be 44, and x plus 2 would be 45. We should check this and make sure that this is correct. So you would do 43 plus 44 plus 45 and make sure that it checks out and actually does add up to 132. And if I was to add these, I would get 77 plus 45. So this is our check. I forgot to write that down. And then 77 plus 45 would be 132, which checks out. So we've done this problem correctly. We found our three consecutive integers. So three integers are 43, 44, and 45. So when you're doing consecutive integer problems, pick numbers. All right, consecutive integers. Pick 11, 12, and 13, and ask yourself, how could I represent these? All right, well, that would be x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. That'll help you set these problems up. You see a lot of consecutive integer, or consecutive odd integers, like in the try it problem on things like the SATs or state tests. A lot of formative assessments like that. With the try it, think of consecutive integers. In this case, they're talking about odd. So maybe pretend that you have 1, 3, and 5. And if 1 is x, ask yourself, what would 3 be in terms of x? It would be x plus what? It's not going to be plus 1 because that would get us to 2. So you do need to change that if you're looking at odd integers. So be careful setting those up, but you can follow the same system. You just have to be careful with the number that you're adding for the try it example.